you're ready.
I'm excited to see you guys. Thanks for coming. Great to have an off day to reflect and watch film and just learn from our last game and, prepare for another great opponent in Utah. Hope the girls got great rest. We haven't seen them yet since the game. Again, Utah's a great team. Love what Gavin's doing. Difficult to take over in season normally, but they've been together for a long time, Lynn and Gavin, and I think they've done a tremendous job at Utah. And still look incredible. Had great wins. These last 3 games have been fun to watch, and so excited for the game ahead.
Okay, I've got a long list of questions, so if anyone wants to take over at any point and interrupt me, I can take a break. So I remember Delia saying after the UCLA game that this team felt like they can be really good. It felt kind of special. And I'm wondering from your perspective, what makes this team feel not necessarily better than previous teams, but feel like they can go far, and it's a particularly special team, a particularly good team.
I mean, I don't want to speak for them. I think the things that I've witnessed are, we have a connectedness in our team. I think our young women really enjoy being together, and we do have a shared purpose in the way we want to compete and, the way we want to show up daily. And so I think when you have those things, you can feel it. It's not something that we have to force or talk about a lot. The preparedness and the work brings you together. So I would think those are some of the things that come to my mind.
And then on Delia, it sounds like she has pro aspirations for herself. From, coach's perspective, what do you think makes her a good pro prospect?
Yeah. Oh, I think that, she really challenged herself this summer to continue to develop skills so that you could see that she could play on the perimeter. You can see that continued growth. I thought she really, had great moments in our last game with that as well. And then also showed she went inside again and played some 5 for us. And obviously is very talented in that aspect, the way she blocks shots and she can attack the rim and just score in a lot of ways. And so she has a tremendous body, which I think is very important in the pro game. She has a great mind for the game. So I just think you're seeing those things, as she continues to work.
And for you personally, I couldn't really figure out if any of your players had gone pro, which I was trying to Google. Sometimes it just doesn't come up with anything. But how confident do you feel in your ability to help her develop into a pro player?
Yeah, I have so much great experience that I'm grateful for. I think that the really start of that was, you could actually go all the way back to Clemson, but a lot of experience at Maryland. We had a lot of players come in that had pro aspiration, which I do think is where it begins because it has such a commitment to the growth through the 4 seasons, and 5 in some cases now. And it's from your body to your knowledge of the game to your skill set. It's really a lot of things that go into it. And so fortunate to see a lot of the student athletes at Maryland during our time there go pro. And then as we were finishing at Rice, so you build your classes through 4 years, we hit COVID, and then obviously I came here after that, but we did have Erica Agumake go into the WNBA, be drafted and make a roster. And she chose to go to medical school instead of the WNBA, which was not bad either.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. But that was a young lady who just has the drive and the work ethic, and her family is incredible. You can see that throughout their family. And so I think, Nancy Mulkey was in the draft when she came to Washington, came out of the draft, and then came here. There's players that make the decision not to play professionally, and I think during your time in our program, we want to prepare you and train you to be a professional athlete, but that doesn't mean you have to. I think your journey through college is figuring out what it is that brings you joy and happiness and peace, and then helping you pursue that, whether it be on the court or off.
And then another player who maybe some of us thought had pro aspirations, Lauren Schwartz. It was sort of, I don't know, seemed like maybe she could. Obviously, she's on the bench now. Wondering for you how it's been having her on the bench, as well as Aaliyah, who, obviously brought Oregon State on that great run last season. Just sort of the changes that you've made to your assistant coaching staff this season.
Yeah, what a gift. Obviously Lauren did have the talent to play professionally. It was quick that you could see her giftedness to coach as well, even her last year. And I was really grateful and excited to hear that she wanted to go straight into coaching. That's really a neat transition when you know you could play professionally, but you choose to coach instead, which Aaliyah did as well. And I think that it's just a love of coaching and giving back to the game that is, it's sacrificial. It's part of our values, right? It's like I want to pour into young people and help them. Their goals for themselves were mentorship and leadership. And they both really shine in those roles. When they speak, the players know they played at a high level and were very successful. They're incredible at explaining because they just did it. So they can go out on the floor and they can show a player exactly what it is that they need them to do, which is, as we get older, a little harder. Though I'm still trying to work on my box out because this past week it was pretty necessary. But anyway, they've done a great job and just a high IQ. I mean, when you've trained yourself to be a professional, you know the game. It's just such a blessing and a joy to have them,
And then obviously it was, still a loss to not have Lauren on the floor anymore. Obviously she was going to graduate. There wasn't a choice about that. But have you seen other players, particularly my mind goes to Elle and Hannah, have to kind of step up in terms of scoring, but also just being vocal on the court? Or are there other players that I may be forgetting in there?
Yeah, I think our starting lineup is strong, is really growing into leadership. I think Savia is really, in the game, you could hear her trying to put us in things. As a sophomore doing that. I think Ellen, Hannah, and Savia, Delea, Tyra, the way they're working and studying film and, trying to speak into this is why we do things and how we do things is really beautiful. That's what we want for all of our girls. It doesn't matter your age. I just was watching video of a huddle of one of our timeouts. While you're fast forwarding, I stopped it because it was interesting because I saw Devin in a timeout really talking to her teammates and pouring into them and explaining what we were doing, encouraging. And that's a freshman. And so, leadership is just showing up and doing the right thing and trying to help the people around you be their best as well. And they're doing a great job.
Let's go to Percy. I was going to say I have one last one, but I could go to Percy.
We can come back to you.
Finally, I was towards the end of my list.
Hey, of course. Hey, just after watching the film, any particular thing really sort of jump out at you?
Yeah, the most important thing today is, I said two things, if I could. Can I pick two? Yeah. is valuing possessions, understanding the importance of this one defensive possession, like not taking a possession off, this offensive execution, this out-of-bounds play, like how we execute in this moment. We've been in some close games that, we could string together come out of a timeout, be in a zone, recognize where the shooter is, there's only one on the floor, or switching and communicating that, or getting back in trans D after, unfortunately, maybe we didn't take a great shot. There's just this next play speed to execute and value that next possession. The other thing that I found really interesting was we're a pretty good team with ball reversal. We didn't get into sets exceptionally well. We talked about that's UCLA. It's exceptional defensively. But when we could get the ball to the paint by dribble or by pass or whatever it may be, we were like 1.1 something per possession, points per possession. And that was with ball reversal. And so then when we didn't, obviously not quite as successful. Now, we all know the ball needs to touch the paint, but it's good to see the efficiency that when you can get the ball to the paint after some reversal, you have some success. And I'd like to see us be able to be a little bit more paint-oriented at times.
When you play those good teams like LSU and UCLA and Utah, just how important is it to maybe play a 40-minute game? Because you never kind of know when that stretch is going to come. And it felt like it showed up for you guys in that second quarter. Mm-hmm. There's that stretch, and then at the end of the game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think we're saying the same thing about the valuing each possession, because I think that's the 40 minutes. Possession by possession, a game is won and lost. A 1-point game. Here, we were a 5-point game with 4-ish minutes left. You're right there. Just each possession becomes really important and starts runs. So if you can string together let's execute on the offensive end and then let's have a great defensive possession, you can start a run and you can feel a change. And then it also helps you be more locked in for that next possession. So I couldn't agree with you more.
It definitely seems like for this year compared to last, you've challenged the team with a lot more difficult games with LSU and UCLA playing a lot of ranked teams. obviously maybe not the 10-0 start that you had last year, but I have to imagine you've been pretty impressed with how the team has played so far. What are some things that you think in this pretty difficult stretch you've done really well that you can kind of take forward as you head into other play, and then maybe some things you'd like to work on?
Every game, it feels like there's something that we can celebrate, and there's something that's like, well, this has to be better. Wins, it doesn't matter wins or losses. And, I think one of the things that, even though I think we celebrated our preparation for the Bahamas well, like we really locked into each team, the scout, you saw growth in that area. I think in the UCLA game, we had some moments where we got out of that scout mentality. And I think that's the environment. Sometimes we can let the outside things influence, whether it be the excitement of being home. We're back here in our own fan base. Whatever it may be. I think that the ability to prepare and understand personnel is an area of growth we want to continue to improve on. And what a great challenge Utah is. I mean, we're going to go from UCLA to Utah, which are two pretty different styles of play, and definitely different personnel scouts. And so it'll be a great challenge for us to do that. From the scheduling standpoint, we love the growth of our program. We love the commitment the young women have made to training. And I think when you can see when you're ready to make a step, you want to take another step and challenge yourself and keep trying to push yourself. And I think we talked about this earlier, like traveling a long distance was important for us this year to prep for the Big Ten. I thought we rose to that challenge, and we learned a lot from it. We had things we didn't do well in the travel and things we did really well. And so just trying to learn and prepare as we go into the Big Ten, and every night is going to be a challenge.
Talk about the passing, because in terms of assists or turnovers, it's not amazing, but when you get, especially in the three-pointers, when you get those looks, you tend to hit them at a pretty high clip. I think right now you're sitting at 4th or 5th in the Big Ten in three-point percentage. Mm-hmm. So what is the team, whether that's moving the ball faster or doing better in transition? I know there was one moment yesterday, I think, had a 5-on-3 and just couldn't connect on the three-pointer. So what does the team need to work on, maybe of getting those passes out and getting those shots up?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at that yesterday, and I think we took a lot of contested shots. And that's a little unusual for us. Like, we'll make one more pass, or we'll be a little bit better setting a screen to get someone a little bit more open, set up the screen better, And so we got rushed, which that's a credit to UCLA. I mean, you're playing a great defensive team. You get a little fast. You don't use a screen. You don't set a screen. A little bit, shots a little covered. We still take it. We probably need to one more it or get into a late clock play. Struggled to get into some late clock plays that put us into some contested shots. Got blocked a few times. Don't recognize a switch. Understand we should hesitate and go by and not shoot it. And those are just, moments against really exceptional defensive teams that you have to lock in and know that you just need a little bit more. You need one more pass. You need a little bit more to make a better decision so you're not taking those shots.
You already talked about stretches a little bit and kind of making that a 40-minute stretch. We've seen a lot towards the end of the games. One, the defense gets really good. I think against Fullerton, they missed 8 of their last 9 shots, and LSU, I think they only shot 27% or something in the fourth quarter. Obviously, had a lot of offensive rebounds. And then it also seems like offensively, the offense can kind of shut down at times towards the end of the game. I know, again, you've already elaborated on it a little bit, but I think what do you think kind of causes both the defensive improvements and kind of the offensive step backs in those kind of last minutes? Is it stamina? And you've talked about building competitive stamina. Mm-hmm. Is that a part of it, or is it just like fatigue?
I think a lot of things go into it, and we were looking at that yesterday as well. It's like, we didn't get to sub as much as we wanted to, and I think fatigue can be a part of it. I think mental fatigue can be a part of it when you come out with such energy and excitement. That's why we want to try to learn that it's just process-driven and not make it too emotional. But we want to be competitive. Competitive is mental, too. It's like really locked in, focused on what we're trying to accomplish and getting that done. If it's just setting a great screen, running what we're calling was actually hard for us, Again, credit UCLA, but we should be able to get into something that we're calling. And so I think those are the things that are experience. We've talked about the scheduling change, and we're hitting the teams that can really shut you down and take things away, and you've got to go to your next option, and we're learning, how to go to that next option.
I know you mentioned it right there, a little bit about the bench. Towards the beginning of the year, you played the bench a lot against Siena and other schools. Kind of seems like if starters are playing a bit more now, they're kind of getting to a lot of big competitive games. In terms of the bench players, have there been any players that have really stuck out to you? I know Devin, a freshman, she's had a lot of really good moments, and Shayla as well yesterday had like a nice putback layup that people seem to really like.
Yeah, I mean, we believe as a staff in our bench. We believe in our staff as our whole team. We believe everyone on our roster can come into a game and contribute. But we have a week to prepare for each game, and you get to see how we're doing against what isn't it. Can I just shout out my scout team? We have a male scout team that is incredible. And we had a really great Lauren Betts, and we had a really great, Jaquez. And so, you get to kind of see how we're going to do in those situations. We have a lot of new offense in. This is that time of the year that's really interesting to have that conference game. You're still putting a lot of your stuff in. And so it's a lot when young and you haven't run a system a lot. And I think they're doing great. I think they're doing really great. But there are people with more experience. And so in those big moments, we're talking about even our experience kind of, struggles to get into something, and they know what's next, and they've done it, and they should be able to do that. But sometimes when you're a newer player, younger player, you haven't had that experience yet. So we want to keep putting them in those moments more and more, and we're always reflecting and saying, could we have subbed here and given someone a few minutes? I think there were moments like that in that game.
Yeah, last one for me. Obviously, UCLA's coach said a lot of positive things about the program on Sunday. She's loving the program you're building. And I think in terms of fan support, we've seen that a little bit over the past couple of years, where yesterday, even right before finals, we give a few thousand fans there a lot of support. We saw Elle yesterday have her little sign that she seems to really like. If you want to speak a little bit about, I guess, in terms of the program, how you feel that you're building that and how the fans are kind of reacting to that.
Yeah, I thought our staff had a great idea of doing the mingle after the game so we could just bond with the community. And so one of our coaches brought that to the table and was like, what if we could just go onto the floor and just be with our fans? Like, they're awesome. And that's been awesome. I mean, to see, young people, just our entire community, just to be able to sit and talk with them. And, we got a beautiful note from a supporter yesterday, I think it was. It talked about how the young women were able to turn the page from a tough loss and go out and just be present. And that's who they are. And so we want to be out there and thanking them. That's really our chance to say thank you, because there's so much you can do in Seattle. I mean, it's a beautiful place, and there's so much to do. So for people to come out on a Sunday afternoon and give the support that they did is really great. And it can turn a game. I mean, I think Danny's talked a lot about that. We're going to go into environments where it's going to be hard. We have to prep all week for, you're not going to be able to hear me. It's going to be so loud. And we hope to build that. We want to build that here. And I believe that, as the community continues to come out and see these young women, they're going to love them, and they're going to be excited about it. And they're going to understand they're going to be a part of us winning, big games. And I remember that in the Stanford game. I remember it just getting so loud. It was like, okay, there we are. That's special for the young women, and I'm really grateful for the support we have.
Just out of curiosity, do you know who made it 8 minutes specifically? Because every time they announce the 8-minute mingle on the screen, I just am curious why it's 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's our staff's idea. I think it was that's about the amount of time. Well, we want to be thoughtful to get to media.
Yeah.
and also we want to close the game and get the girls showered and recovered. And so, normally by the time we get all of that done and we come out, most people have had to go home. And so we want to be able to give them quality time, but still be able to get to recovery and get to media.
I was just curious, thank
Sure.
you. But then my actual question, you talked about Savia's sort of improved communication, and she was so impressive last year, but it feels like she's taken on more weight this year. She's looking particularly confident. Can you just speak to maybe what work you saw her do in the offseason and what improvement you've seen in her this year, and maybe what her next step is as well?
I don't know that I could speak about a ceiling. I know that. I think Savia is really special. I'm going to always begin with, I think the best growth comes from the most humble people. The people that are always saying, like, how can I get better? Maybe she hit us yesterday. I was like, it's your off day. But she was like eager to come in. We're in the midst of finals. She has stuff to do, but she's just driven to be better. And she always sees that she can be better. But what I think is healthy is that she also sees and understands what she's good at. And that's been a big growth area for her this year, is that she could be a little too hard on herself. Sometimes we can get so growth focused we don't see what our strengths are. And I think that's really starting to be a beautiful part of her mind. She's starting to understand, I can do this. This is something I'm really good at, and there's a lot of it, And so she steps into those roles. I'm excited for her leadership to continue to develop, because when you work the way she works, and you're committed the way she's committed, and you're humble the way she's humble, you should have the ability to walk into a room and say, like, we need to do this better, you know, and she's really growing in that because she has kind of earned that right, you know, and it's beautiful to see.
Is there anything specifically on the court? Because I mean, I watch her and I can't think of anything in particular. She's hitting pull-up threes. She's hitting her mid-range jumpers, her layups. She's got some crossovers, making people fall over. Like, it seems like it seems like she's really got that 3-level scoring going for her, and also on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what would you say are her? I don't know. What are the things you think she's best at?
Best at, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm trying not to give her a scout away for her. You know what I mean? I'm like, here's how you, you know. But so like, I'm giving thought to this. I would just say, sometimes I just don't even know that she has an idea of how great she's going to be. You know, and I think that's okay. There's a humility there that will keeps people hungry, humble. That's beautiful. Hungry and humble, you just can't beat it. You know, and that's her. So, I mean, she can do anything. She can shoot the 3 well. She can shoot the pull-up. She can get to the rim. She can go against any size. She can guard. She's guarded centers, push them out. I mean, she can guard, you know, guard the basketball. I think our entire team needs to continue to grow in every possession. Every possession. You know, she can make an impact in every single possession because she's that good. So I think that would be a focus for all of us.
I think that was the first time that we saw Delilah hit 2 threes in a game. Just how is her game different, and how are you guys different if she's really able to get that outside shot going?
Thank you. She's worked really hard. I was excited to see that for her. Sometimes you've worked really hard on something and you're doing it really well in practice and it hasn't happened in a game yet. And so I think that brings an incredible confidence. I saw her foot on the line a couple times and I was like, so close. But I love that because we don't want her looking down at the line, to be honest with you, because anything that distracts you when you're first out there is not a great thing. And then it just naturally happens for her. And then she later backed up and knocked it down. And so I think that the thing for her is, again, very similar to what I said for Savia, is she just doesn't have a limit on what she can do. It's just using her skill sets to their greatest gift at that moment. So if your matchup is a defender that you can sweep drive on, you should sweep drive her, you know, because that is your gift. Like, you can go to the rim and finish at a high level. And if they close out short, the question is that still someone you can beat? You know, because we still want to go to the paint first, too. But then if you're lined up and you know you're shooting it well, you shoot it. She handles the ball really well right now. I think you can see her growth and transition is really fun. And so I don't know that I answered your question well. Is there? Yeah.
In that UCLA game, it felt like you got really good production from 4. Can Tyra become an offensive threat? You know, do you guys like maybe look for her, because it feels like her offense just comes like out of the stuff that she gets. But if you guys incorporate her, how are you guys different?
Yeah, she's going to see that today. We're going to see that today. It's like we believe, you know, that she can screen and roll hard and seal and make things happen, rim run, seal, and make things happen for herself or others. And so sometimes when you realize you have a tough defensive assignment, I think you get really locked into that. And maybe that's our fault too, because we all prepared for, you know, we felt like there were going to be moments that she would be one-on-one and that she would be able to be pretty solid in those moments. And I think that was what her kind of drove her a little bit, is like, okay, I'm not getting some success here right now, and that stopped that. I think there were many other games too, though, that, as you're mentioning, that we could have potentially got the ball inside a little bit better. She's really worked on her finishing and is finishing really well right now. Rebounding was our focus all week, and I think you saw some great moments from her, and Delia specifically had some really great box outs and some finishes and things. So, yeah, I agree with you.
And then just the challenges that the youths present, and, you know, I mean, obviously under Lynn, they just had that great offense, and I'm sure it's kind of still there. And to that too, just how important is it to kind of, every game counts, every win counts, but to really beat a good team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think that we want to leave every night feeling like we played our best, and there's been nights we've won and haven't felt like that, you know, and there's been nights that we've lost and we were close. We were close. You know, you're playing a great team and every possession counts. And so it's another opportunity for us to go out there and try to string together possessions where our competitive stamina is 40 minutes. It's really hard to play a 40-minute game execution-wise, but it's possible, you know. And so we love to say, I got this from a fellow that we talked to a lot last year, Jim. He would say, is it possible? You know, and if it's possible, then it can be a goal, you know. And it's possible for us to play 40 minutes and execute each play. It won't mean every shot's going to go in. It won't mean we'll get a stop every possession, but we can go out and execute, you know, and really lock into the execution. I think that's possible. So if we do that, I think we'll see continued improvements in games like this next game.
And just a quick scouting report
Yeah.
on the Utes.
Yeah, Utah's really good. They still shoot it really well. So, you know, they do a lot of things well. You know, I mean, and they have an incredible system that they're committed to. Everybody's on the perimeter. Their centers can shoot the three. Everyone can shoot the three. So they spread you out. Everyone's on the perimeter. Like I said, they can take it to the basket. Everybody can. So they can go to the rim in threes. They don't settle for a lot of pull-ups. They make you play a certain way. They're okay if you take pull-ups. And so they like them to be contested, it feels like. But they really want to challenge you at the rim and the three-point line. And so trying to take away what they do well and give you, you know, what they're okay with. And like I said, I think the thing that makes them really special is that they're committed to their system. And they have players in that system that can do what they're asking them to do. I think we're similar in that. I think we both have systems. I think we have players that can do what we're asking them to do. So it will be a game of execution.
You know, and then like in the games of the past when you guys played, it was that contrasting styles of your great defense, their great offense. Are you anticipating something similar? Do you have to score with them, or is it just let's, you know, kind of be who we are, and then we can win the game that way?
I always feel like we can make an impact defensively. You know, I do think that it's always going to be our identity to try to be, you know, have a presence on the defensive end of the floor. Offensively, we lacked moments of transition last night that we could have transitioned in. Like we have been playing better tempo than we did in our last game. And that tempo is important whether you score right away or not, because it just puts you in a flow. And so that would put us in our more traditional offensive style of play that we would like to have this season. And so it'll be a growth area for us in this game.
Any final questions for Coach? All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
Thank you,
Coach.
guys. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.